This video is going to be about creating renderings, which is a photorealistic image of your model. They can be interior, they can be exterior, they can be daytime, they can be nighttime. You know, you're basically creating a photograph of the thing. And the workflow for doing this starts out with you get your 3D view created that you want. So I'm working with the same file from week 14, and I opened the level 1 furniture plan so we can see the furniture, and I put a perspective camera in here in front of the reception desk, and I've played with the location of the camera and the location of the target. Now when I set this, I set the camera height at 5'6" above level 1, and the target height, I set it at 3'6" or 3 foot above level 1. And something that I just realized is that when you click on the camera and you get the elevations here, those are based on 0 in your model, 0 feet. So this is not above the level that you're currently working on. I didn't realize that beforehand. So we want to get our camera in place and adjusted, and adjust our crop region a little bit. And one of the things you've got, if you've got some background stuff going on that you don't want to see, you can either select it here and hide it, or you can adjust the far clip so that those things are not visible in your view. And one of the reasons for doing that is it will, crowd your view. You'd be seeing things that you really don't want to show or demonstrate, whatever. And the more objects there are in the view to render, the longer it takes and the more memory intensive the process is. Okay, so I've got my view kind of how I want it. We want to look at, next we would set up, materials if we haven't done that already, and then lighting, and then any details that we want to add, like plants or people or, those kinds of things. So just for giggles, let's add a person in here. So let's go component, let's load a family, entourage, or no, yeah, load a family. Let's add, I don't care, male, female, doesn't matter. All right, we'll have her stand there. Now let's change this view to realistic. And so now we can see the person is facing, it's holding a folder. Okay, so we've added her. Now, this particular project has no interior lights installed in it. So in interior rendering, we're just gonna have to kind of play with that. So let's go to our render settings right down here. And in this, you can specify a region of the view that you want to render. So you would select that and you draw a box. The settings, I always recommend starting on draft because it's the quickest. And then once you get your lighting and those kind of things worked out, then you can move up to high or best that you want. Resolution is here, so screen or printer. So we're going to keep it on screen, but printer, you can adjust your DPI or your dots per inch that would be printed, and that's the resolution. And so this is telling me that this particular view would come out to be 6 inches by 5 and 11 and 16. Okay, at 150 dpi. Now I could go up, and this tells me how many pixels that are involved in that. Okay, so if you've dealt with photography or graphic arts, Photoshop, those kinds of things, you'll kind of get a feel for understanding of that. But we're going to leave it on screen. Okay, so lighting. We have exteriors and interiors, and then we have sun only, sun artificial, artificial only. Okay, so if you set it as sun, you can go into the lighting settings, and then you remember how we kind of did this in another video where we set the location of the project. Well, here, same kind of a thing. If we're dealing with the sun, we can tell it a still image. We can set the location is based on your project location and you've already set up. But you can set the date and the time, or you could go here for solstice or equinox. Okay, and you just kind of have to play with those. But if we go with the lighting section here, now this is mainly for exteriors, but you can set the azimuth and the altitude for excuse me, for where the sun would be, either relative to your view or relative to the project by unchecking that. And you can say sunlight from top left or sun, or right. Okay, so we're just going to leave it on that. And it'd be the same way on an interior. Okay, same kind of a situation for an interior rendering. If I go with artificial lighting, and interior artificial lighting is going to be light fixtures that you put in your model. Now they have to be, the families have to be built as a light fixture that emits light. Some of the light fixtures that I have downloaded from I forgot the name of the site now, where we get some of our models from, don't have lighting built into them. They're just a model of a fixture with no lighting source. So that's one thing you need to look at and consider if you're going to use interior lights. But when you have lighting, and get right here, artificial lights, we'll click that. We have grouped and ungrouped lights. So you can create a group of lights based on types, locations, whether various rooms or various levels, like level 1, level 2. So you can create groups of them so that you can turn them on or turn them off in rendering, or you can dim them a certain percentage in the rendering. We don't have any in our project, so we'll leave it at that. All right, so we're going to go that, and let's go ahead and hit rendering. It's probably going to come out black, just to be honest with you. Yeah, because there's no lighting over here. So if we go to the other side of the building with our view, we could see that. Now, once you run a render, you can adjust the exposure, and I'll go over that in the project videos that you're going to have. You can save it to the project, and it's best to give it the same name as whatever your 3D view is, which would be like the room. We would call this reception desk. I'm just going to leave it there. And now if I come over here to my project browser, it's added this additional tree for renderings, and there it is. Now that's a photo image of what I just created that I can place on a drawing. Okay, one thing about it is after you've created a rendering, if you change the model will update, but the rendering will not update. Okay, because it's a snapshot of what you have done. Okay, so I'm gonna close that, and I want to go to an outside view. Oh, that's an interior. That's an interior. Okay, so let's just uh, create a new one. We'll come here to my site plan. Let's create a new 3D view. Okay, so let's change our heights here. Uh, and let's adjust our crop region. And it's kind of wonky. I set it at perspective view, okay, and they're kind of leaning out because of the height that I've got things looking at. I'm looking down, so let's change that to, I don't know, 10 feet. It looks a little bit better. Okay, so we'll leave it at that right there. And so let's open up our render settings here. Background, we'll leave that at sky. Exterior, sun only. So let's look at it and let's go still. Oh well. Okay, so here we have a render from the exterior, and you notice I set it at the sky. The background is sky with few clouds, but you can see the line there where we go from sky. We've got gray, and then here's our ground underneath it, so the blue doesn't come all the way down. So you've got some options there of things that you can deal with, and that's going to be a matter of adjusting your camera and your target heights and elevations. Okay, so if I were to render this again, I'm gonna go ahead and set it for high, but then I'll pause the video and then show you when that comes back. No reason for you to sit here for the whole time to watch it run. Okay, so now you can see a little bit clearer image of what we had with those things. So that's kind of the basics on rendering. Revit will do a pretty good job of renderings, but the ones that are companies that are going to use it to do, that are going to be creating photorealistic renderings, they're usually going to use a different software. So they would create it in Revit, export it to that other software that has a lot more controls over the materials and the lighting and the shadows and things like that. But that's the basics of it.